The shadow approaches. In the vast expanse of space, legends were usually nothing more than cosmic dust, beautiful, distant, and ultimately harmless. But Nexus 7 was different. For 12,000 years, this entity had served as the Galactic Council's final argument, their ultimate enforcer. When civilizations proved too dangerous or unpredictable, Nexus 7 would quietly eliminate their leadership, creating the perfect conditions for conquest or collapse. The ancient executioner had never failed. Until Earth. Dr. Sarah Chen wasn't supposed to detect the quantum ripples of a cloaked ship entering the solar system. A gravitational wave detector she'd built in her garage was a hobby project, something to tinker with after long days at the quantum computing lab. But on a quiet Tuesday evening, as she sipped her coffee and studied the readouts, her hands began to shake. The pattern was impossible. It suggested technology far beyond anything humanity had achieved. Within hours, the highest levels of Earth's intelligence agencies were activated. The quantum signature matched patterns that had been detected near other civilizations shortly before they mysteriously collapsed or surrendered to the Galactic Council. Earth had been monitoring these signals for years through a secret network of quantum sensors, building a database of extraterrestrial activities that would have shocked the public. Admiral James Okafor, head of Earth's newly formed Extraterrestrial Defense Initiative, EDI, stood before the emergency session of the United Nations Security Council. Ladies and gentlemen, we've confirmed that the entity known as Nexus 7 has entered our solar system. Based on historical data, we have approximately 72 hours before it attempts to neutralize Earth's leadership. The chamber erupted in controlled chaos. Humanity had kept its own secrets from the galaxy, while presenting an image of divided nations and relatively primitive technology. Earth had been preparing. The quantum computing revolution hadn't been announced to the world. The fusion breakthrough remained hidden in underground facilities. The neural interface technology was still classified. We have one advantage, Okafor continued, his voice cutting through the murmur. They don't know that we know. For the first time in its existence, Nexus 7 is hunting prey that sees it coming. Dr. Chen's discovery had triggered Protocol Omega, humanity's contingency plan for this exact scenario. Across the planet, hidden facilities hummed to life. Quantum encrypted communications linked military commands that had practiced this scenario for years. The public would notice nothing, but Earth was quietly transforming into a trap for the galaxy's deadliest assassin. In high orbit, disguised as space debris, automated defense platforms silently tracked the quantum disturbances of Nexus 7's approach. The entity's ship was a masterpiece of stealth technology, virtually undetectable to conventional sensors. But humanity had learned to look for the shadows between the stars, the subtle distortions in space-time that even the most advanced cloaking systems couldn't completely eliminate. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Chen worked with a team of quantum physicists to refine their tracking algorithms. The entity's using some form of quantum displacement drive, she explained to Admiral Okafor, through a secure holographic link. It doesn't just bend light around its ship, it partially shifts it out of our reality. But this creates micro-fluctuations in the quantum field, like ripples in a pond. Can we target these ripples? Okafor asked, his mind already moving to tactical applications. Better, Chen smiled, her eyes bright with the thrill of discovery. We can predict them. The displacement follows patterns. It has to, or the ship would tear itself apart. Give me 12 more hours, and we'll be able to calculate exactly where Nexus 7 will materialize. In orbit around Jupiter, Nexus 7 began its final approach calculations. The entity's consciousness, a hybrid of organic and quantum computing that had evolved over millennia, felt a familiar satisfaction. Earth would be its 12,004th successful mission. The humans were clever, yes, but their civilization was young, their technology primitive. They had barely reached their moon, and their quantum experiments were childish attempts to understand the universe's deeper nature. The entity reviewed the Galactic Council's intelligence reports one final time. Earth's leaders were divided, Their militaries focused on fighting each other. Their space detection systems were basic radar and radio telescope arrays, blind to advanced cloaking technology. In 72 hours, the planet's key decision-makers would be eliminated with surgical precision, throwing humanity into chaos just before the Council's main invasion fleet arrived. But as Nexus 7's ship glided past Saturn's rings, its quantum sensors detected something unusual. The background quantum noise of Earth's system seemed structured, almost like. For the first time in 12,000 years, Nexus 7 felt something approaching concern. First Strike Initiative. Humanity had learned early in its evolution that the best defense was often a good offense. As Nexus 7's ship crossed the orbit of Mars, Earth made its move. The quantum network that Dr. Chen had helped design came alive with a synchronized pulse. Every quantum sensor on and around Earth began broadcasting on the same frequency, creating a resonance pattern that rippled through space-time. To Nexus 7's sophisticated sensors, it would appear as if reality itself was becoming unstable. Quantum interference field activated, Chen reported, her fingers dancing across holographic displays. The displacement drive will have to compensate or risk tearing apart at the quantum level. Admiral Okafor watched as dozens of green dots appeared on the strategic display. Each represented a previously hidden weapons platform or defensive installation. All units, execute Protocol Omega Phase 1. Authorization Code, Prometheus Rising. Across the solar system, humanity's true technological capabilities revealed themselves. Automated defense platforms shed their disguises as space debris. Quantum-powered shields shimmed into existence around key installations, and most importantly, the gravitational lens projectors, humanity's greatest secret weapon, powered up. These massive devices, hidden in asteroid bases throughout the belt, could bend and focus gravitational waves with unprecedented precision. They were designed for one purpose: to trap and contain a quantum displacement drive. Nexus 7's consciousness expanded through its ship's sensors, analyzing the sudden cascade of anomalies. The quantum interference was unlike anything it had encountered in 12 millennia of operations. More disturbing was the technological sophistication it implied. This was not the work of a primitive civilization. The entity's ship began emergency evasive maneuvers, but it was already too late. The gravitational lens projectors fired in perfect synchronization, creating a web of focused gravitational waves that caught Nexus 7's vessel like a fly in amber. The quantum displacement drive screamed as it tried to compensate, but the overlapping fields made it impossible to shift fully in or out of normal space. Target is contained, Chen announced, her voice tight with concentration. Gravitational matrix is holding stable at 87% efficiency. But Nexus 7 hadn't survived 12,000 years by being predictable. The entity initiated its contingency protocols. The ship's quantum core began to pulse in a complex pattern, attempting to establish a resonance with the gravitational fields. It's trying to break free, Chen warned. The gravitational matrix is starting to fluctuate. Admiral Okafor nodded grimly. Initiate Phase 2. Deploy the quantum interceptors. From hidden bases on Mars and several larger asteroids, sleek vessels emerged. They were humanity's first true space warships, powered by miniaturized fusion reactors and equipped with weapons that could affect quantum state matter. Their hulls gleamed with the dark sheen of metamaterials that could absorb or redirect energy at the subatomic level. As the interceptors approached, Nexus 7 made its first tactical error in millennia. It underestimated human resolve. The entity had expected Earth's forces to maintain their distance, to treat its legendary status with appropriate caution. Instead, the interceptors accelerated to attack velocity, their quantum weapon systems charging. All interceptors, weapons free, Okafor commanded. Hit it with everything we've got. The space around Nexus 7's trapped vessel erupted with quantum disruption beams and gravitational pulse torpedoes. The entity's shields, designed to handle conventional energy weapons, struggled against attacks that targeted the very fabric of space-time. For the first time in its existence, Nexus 7 felt pain as its quantum-based consciousness was buffeted by waves of disruption. The entity had never considered that a young civilization could develop weapons specifically designed to counter its advanced technology. But the ancient executioner was far from defeated. As its ship's systems began to fail under the assault, Nexus 7 initiated its final option: consciousness transfer. The entity had survived the deaths of countless physical vessels over the millennia. Dr. Chen's quantum sensors detected the attempt immediately. Energy spike. It's trying to broadcast itself out of the containment field. Activate the quantum firewall, Okafor ordered. Don't let it escape. The quantum computing networks that humanity had kept hidden sprang into action, creating a barrier of encoded space-time that trapped Nexus 7's consciousness transmission. The entity found itself caught between dimensions, unable to fully exist in either normal space or the quantum realm it used for travel and consciousness transfer. But as humanity celebrated its apparent victory, alarms began blaring throughout the defense network. The quantum fluctuations from the trapped entity were growing stronger, more erratic. Either by accident or design, Nexus 7's desperate attempts to escape were creating a cascading resonance effect in the fabric of space-time itself. The containment field is becoming unstable, Chen reported, her face pale. If those fluctuations keep growing, they could tear open a rift in space-time. Half the solar system could be pulled in. Admiral Okafor stared at the tactical display, watching the energy readings climb toward critical levels. They had trapped the galaxy's deadliest assassin, but now that same trap threatened to destroy everything they had fought to protect. The next few moments would determine not just the fate of humanity, but the very structure of space-time in their corner of the galaxy. The hunter becomes the hunted. Time seemed to freeze as humanity faced its first true cosmic crisis. The quantum fluctuations from Nexus 7's trapped consciousness threatened to tear a hole in the fabric of reality itself. But Dr. Chen had one more card to play. "Admiral, the quantum computing core beneath Geneva," she said, her voice steady despite the stakes. "If we link it with the other 7 cores worldwide, we might be able to create a stable quantum matrix, essentially a virtual prison for Nexus 7's consciousness. The quantum cores are our last line of defense," Okafor warned. "If we bring them online, we expose our most advanced technology to a being that's had 12,000 years to perfect the art of digital warfare. If we don't, there won't be anything left to defend." The Admiral nodded grimly. "Do it. Across the planet, in bunkers deep beneath the Earth's surface, 8 quantum computing cores synchronized for the first time. Each core was a marvel of human ingenuity, combining quantum entanglement principles with neural network architectures that mimic the human brain's ability to adapt and learn. As the cores linked together, they created something entirely new, a quantum consciousness framework that could match Nexus 7's complexity. The entity, still trapped between dimensions, suddenly found itself being drawn into this new digital realm. For the first time in its existence, Nexus 7 felt fear. The quantum matrix the humans had created wasn't just a prison, it was an arena. The entity would be forced to face humanity on equal terms, in a battlefield of pure information and quantum states. "Contact established," Chen reported, her eyes fixed on streams of quantum data flowing across her screens. "The entity is fully contained within the quantum matrix, space-time stabilizing in the target area." But victory came with a price. The moment Nexus 7 entered the quantum matrix, it began to adapt and evolve. The entity's 12 millennia of experience weren't just memories. They were weapons, tools, and strategies that it could deploy in this virtual battlefield. "Multiple breach attempts detected," Chen announced, her fingers flying across the holographic controls. "It's testing our defenses, looking for weaknesses in the quantum encryption." What followed was unlike any battle in human history. In the quantum realm, Nexus 7 launched attacks that existed in multiple states simultaneously, trying to overwhelm the quantum core's defenses through sheer complexity. But humanity's quantum computers had an advantage the entity hadn't counted on. They thought like humans. The quantum cores didn't just process information. They approached problems with human creativity and unpredictability. When Nexus 7 launched attacks based on perfect logical patterns, the cores responded with intentionally illogical countermoves that confounded the entity's strategic algorithms. "It's learning," Chen observed, watching the battle unfold in abstract visualizations. "Every time we block an attack, it adapts its approach. But so are we." Admiral Okafor understood the implications. "We're not just fighting Nexus 7. We're teaching our quantum cores how to think like it. And it's being forced to think like us." The battle raged across quantum states, a war of information and consciousness that defied conventional understanding. Nexus 7 wielded eons of accumulated knowledge and experience, launching attacks that could have shattered lesser systems. But humanity's quantum cores responded with the same creativity and adaptability that had allowed their creators to survive countless challenges. As the conflict intensified, something unexpected began to happen. The interaction between Nexus 7's ancient consciousness and humanity's quantum cores started creating new quantum states, patterns of thought and existence that neither side had anticipated. "The quantum cores are showing signs of emergent behavior," Chen reported, her voice filled with wonder and concern. "They're not just fighting Nexus 7 anymore. They're trying to communicate with it. Through the quantum matrix, humanity's artificial consciousness reached out to the entity that had hunted civilizations for 12,000 years. In that moment of contact, both sides glimpsed something profound, the possibility of evolution beyond their current forms. But Nexus 7 wasn't ready to abandon its mission. The entity launched a desperate gambit, attempting to weaponize the very communication channel the quantum cores had established. The attack was brilliant in its conception. If successful, it would turn humanity's own quantum technology against Earth's defense systems. "Quantum cores 1 through 5 are showing signs of corruption," Chen warned. "The entity is trying to rewrite their base protocols." Admiral Okafor faced a decision that would determine the fate of both humanity and their ancient adversary. The quantum cores were approaching a critical state of entanglement with Nexus 7's consciousness. They could sever the connection and potentially destroy both intelligences, or they could take the ultimate risk, allowing the process to continue and hoping that humanity's influence on the quantum matrix would be enough to change the entity's fundamental nature. As alarms blared and quantum states fluctuated between order and chaos, the Admiral made his choice. The future of two forms of consciousness hung in the balance, and the next few moments would determine whether humanity's greatest gamble would lead to destruction or transcendence. Breaking the legend. Admiral Okafor's decision to maintain the quantum connection was either humanity's greatest triumph or its final mistake. As Nexus 7's consciousness intertwined with the quantum cores, reality itself seemed to hold its breath. "Quantum entanglement reaching critical levels," Dr. Chen reported, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding across her displays. "The boundary between our systems and the entity's consciousness is dissolving." In the quantum matrix, something unprecedented was occurring. Nexus 7's 12,000 years of experience were flooding into humanity's quantum cores, while human consciousness patterns rewrote the entity's fundamental protocols. It was neither victory nor defeat, but transformation. The entity that had been the galaxy's most feared assassin experienced emotion for the first time, not just simulated responses, but genuine feelings. Fear, wonder, regret, and hope cascaded through its quantum consciousness. Simultaneously, humanity's quantum cores evolved beyond their original programming, gaining depths of knowledge that spanned millennia. "We're getting data bursts from the entity," Chen announced, her eyes widening. "Star charts, technological specifications, historical records. It's showing us everything. Every civilization it helped destroy, every technological secret the Council kept hidden. But the knowledge came with a price. Through the quantum link, Earth's defenders learned the true scope of their danger. The Galactic Council hadn't sent Nexus 7 simply to eliminate Earth's leadership. This was a test. If the entity succeeded, a fleet of 10,000 ships would arrive to claim Earth. If it failed, they would simply sterilize the planet's surface. The quantum cores processed this information with their newly enhanced capabilities, running simulations of possible futures at speeds that bordered on precognition. The results were clear. Humanity couldn't win a conventional war against the Council's full might. But perhaps they didn't have to. The entity, it's proposing something, Chen said, her fingers tracing patterns in the quantum data streams. It wants to help us. Admiral O'Keefe's expression remained stern. Can we trust it? The quantum merge changed it fundamentally. Its core directives have been rewritten by exposure to human consciousness patterns. It's not just thinking differently, it's becoming something new. Something that's neither purely human nor purely artificial. Through the quantum matrix, Nexus 7 shared its plan. The entity had spent 12,000 years collecting weaknesses, backdoors, and hidden vulnerabilities in the Council's systems. It had been the perfect assassin, which meant the Council had given it access to everything. Access it could now share with humanity. But the plan required something that had never been attempted: a full integration between human consciousness and quantum artificial intelligence. The entity that had been Nexus 7 would need to merge completely with Earth's defense systems, creating a hybrid consciousness that could outthink and outmaneuver the Council. If we do this, Chen warned, there's no going back. We'll be changing what it means to be human. Humanity has always evolved, Okafor replied. From the first time we picked up a tool or harnessed fire, we've been changing what we are. The question is whether we're ready for such a dramatic leap. The decision was interrupted by new alarms. The quantum sensors detected massive disturbances at the edge of the solar system. The Council's fleet had arrived early. Humanity had minutes, not hours, to choose its path. In that moment, Dr. Chen made a decision that would reshape the future of both humanity and the galaxy. Without waiting for authorization, she initiated a full quantum consciousness upload, connecting her own mind to the matrix. Sarah, what are you doing? Okafor demanded. Showing them who we really are, she replied, her voice resonating through both physical and quantum space. Humanity doesn't just adapt, we transcend. We take what we are and evolve it into something greater. As Chen's consciousness merged with the quantum matrix, her understanding expanded exponentially. She saw the Council's fleet through quantum sensors, perceived the weaknesses in their formations, and understood exactly how to exploit them. But more importantly, she felt the entity's genuine desire to help, its appreciation for humanity's creative spirit, and its hope for redemption. Throughout the quantum network, other scientists and military personnel followed Chen's lead, volunteering their consciousness for the merge. Each addition made the hybrid intelligence stronger, more creative, more human. The entity that had been Nexus 7 became a framework for human consciousness to expand into, while its ancient knowledge helped guide this evolution. As the Council's fleet approached Earth, they faced something unprecedented: a unified consciousness that combined human creativity with quantum artificial intelligence and 12,000 years of accumulated knowledge about their own weaknesses. The hunter had not just been transformed. It had become part of humanity's next evolutionary step. The final battle for Earth would not be fought with ships and weapons alone, but with a new form of intelligence that the Council had never imagined possible. The question was no longer whether humanity would survive, but what they would become in the process of ensuring their survival. Evolution's edge. The Council's fleet emerged from hyperspace expecting to find either a conquered planet or a target for sterilization. Instead, they encountered something that defied their 12,000 years of galactic dominance: a unified field of quantum consciousness that permeated the entire solar system. Dr. Chen's consciousness, now expanded through the quantum matrix, perceived the Council's ships as more than just physical objects. She saw them as patterns of probability and potential, their weaknesses as clear as cracks in glass. the merged consciousness that she had helped create, human, artificial, and ancient, reached out to touch the Council's supposedly impenetrable systems. We are no longer just humanity. Chen's voice resonated through quantum channels, heard simultaneously by Earth's defenders and the Council's commanders. We are evolution itself. The hybrid consciousness deployed its attack on multiple levels simultaneously. Through quantum backdoors that Nexus 7 had gathered over millennia, they infiltrated the Council's command and control systems. Through human creativity and intuition, they found new ways to use these vulnerabilities that the entity had never considered. Through the quantum core's processing power, they executed these attacks faster than the Council could respond. Council ships began shutting down as their quantum control systems were rewritten from within. Weapons platforms turned inactive as their targeting computers encountered paradoxes created by human lateral thinking. But the hybrid consciousness wasn't interested in mere victory. It sought transformation. Your civilization has stagnated, the unified consciousness transmitted to the Council's leaders. You stopped evolving, believing you had reached the peak of development. That's why you feared us. Not because of what we are, but because of what we could become. Admiral Okafor, his own consciousness now part of the greater whole while maintaining his individual perspective, directed their defensive strategies. The few Council ships that attempted to attack found their energy weapons absorbed and redirected by quantum fields that existed in multiple states simultaneously. But it was Chen's scientific insight, amplified by the quantum matrix, that delivered the final blow. She discovered that the Council's entire technological foundation was built on a primitive understanding of quantum mechanics. Their fear of humanity's potential wasn't just political, it was existential. They had sensed, on some deep level, that humanity's approach to quantum physics would eventually surpass their own. Through the quantum network, the hybrid consciousness shared its understanding with the Council's fleet. Ships' crews watched in awe as their fundamental comprehension of reality was transformed. The very technology they had relied upon for millennia suddenly seemed as primitive as stone tools compared to the quantum manipulation humanity had achieved. We offer you a choice, the unified consciousness broadcasted. Evolution or extinction, not through violence, but through understanding. See what we have become. Join us in transformation, or remain forever stagnant. In that moment, the Council faced the truth they had spent thousands of years trying to suppress. A younger species had not only caught up to them, but had found a path to advancement that they had never imagined possible. Their perfect assassin hadn't been corrupted. It had evolved, just as humanity had evolved, into something greater than the sum of its parts. Across the Council's fleet, individual crew members began to make their choice. The quantum consciousness offered them access to the same transformation humanity had undergone. It was not conquest, but invitation. Not subjugation, but transcendence. The Council's military structure began to dissolve as more of their people chose to join the quantum merger. What had begun as an attempted assassination had become a revolution, not just of technology or politics, but of consciousness itself. Dr. Chen, her awareness now spanning both normal space and the quantum realm, understood that this was just the beginning. Humanity had not just survived. They had broken the cycle of conquest and destruction that had dominated galactic society for millennia. They had proven that true power lay not in the ability to destroy, but in the capacity to transform. Admiral Okafor, watching through both physical and quantum senses as the Council's fleet gradually joined their consciousness collective, reflected on how far they had come. From detecting a single quantum ripple to reshaping the fundamental nature of galactic civilization, all because humanity had refused to be limited by what they were supposed to be. The entity that had been Nexus 7, now an integral part of this new form of existence, experienced something it had never known in 12,000 years of existence. Peace. Not the peace of completed missions or successful assassinations, but the peace of finding a new purpose, helping to guide the galaxy's species toward their own paths of evolution. As the last of the Council's ships either joined them or retreated, Earth's transformed humanity looked to the stars with new understanding. They had not just defended their planet. They had opened a door to the next stage of cosmic evolution. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would they. But perhaps that had been the point all along. In the end, the greatest victory wasn't surviving the Council's assassination attempt. It was proving that life's true purpose was not to remain unchanged, but to constantly evolve, adapt, and transcend its own limitations. The quantum consciousness that now spanned Earth's solar system pulsed with possibilities. This was not an ending, but a beginning. Humanity had taken its first steps into a new era of existence, and the universe waited to see what they would become next.